Hey, you guys, how are you doing today? Dark Desert Highway here with some downtime. I'm waiting to get unloaded at a Costco in Idaho, and it's going to be a while. So I decided that I was going to come in and talk about the Bible. That's what we do here. And today I wanted to go over the blessings and the curses of the consequence of obedience or disobedience to the commandment of the Lord that he gave his people, the Hebrew nation. And I continue to call it the Hebrew nation because Israel hadn't yet been set up as a kingdom, or Judah hadn't been set up as a kingdom. The kingdom split, I believe, after Solomon. You can fact check me on this one because I'm pulling it from memory. And so the kingdom hadn't yet been set up. As a matter of fact, a king hadn't been established, which is a Bible study I'm going to do later about how we forgot about the kingdom of heaven. Because the people wanted a king so they could be like the other nations. All of the other nations around them had a king that led them. And up to this time, all they had were judges. And they asked Samuel, I believe, to give them a king. And the Lord said, don't worry about it, Samuel. They're not rejecting you. They're rejecting me. And then a king was appointed, King Saul, I believe. And that's a whole story in itself. So that's why I say the Hebrew nation, because they had not yet become a kingdom. They, at this point, hadn't yet even gone in to take over the promised land. But faithful as the Lord is to lay out the ground rules of our relationship with him, because that's what it's about. Our relationship with the Lord is based on his terms. So if you follow the commandments of the Lord and you cleave to him as if you would clutch the shirt of the man in front of you, or if you were in a bowed position, you would clutch the pant leg of the person before you and cleave to them as if it was your own body to cleave. So we're going to read blessings for obedience and the consequences of disobedience. We can find this in Deuteronomy chapter 28. And I'm just going to start reading. There's a lot of reading today, and that's basically what this Bible study is going to be about. 28 verse 1. Now, if you faithfully obey the Lord your God and are careful to follow all his commands I am giving you today, the Lord your God will put you far above all the nations of the earth. All these blessings will come and overtake you, because you obeyed the Lord your God. You will be blessed in the city, you will be blessed in the country, your offspring will be blessed, and your land's produce, the offspring of your livestock, including the young of your herds and the newborn of your flocks. Your basket and kneading bowl will become blessed. You will be blessed when you come in, and you will be blessed when you come out. The Lord will cause the enemies who rise up against you to be defeated before you. They will march out against you from one direction, but flee from you in 7 directions. The Lord will grant you a blessing on your barns and on everything you do. He will bless you in the land the Lord your God is giving you. The Lord will establish you as his holy people, as he swore to you, if you obey the commandments of the Lord your God and walk in his ways. Then all the peoples of the earth will see that you bear the Lord's name, and they will stand in awe of you. The Lord will make you prosper abundantly with offspring, the offspring of your livestock, and your land's produce in the land the Lord swore your ancestors to give you. The Lord will open for you his abundant storehouse, the sky, to give your land rain in its season, and to bless all the work of your hands. You will lend to many nations, but you will not borrow. The Lord will make you the head and not the tail. You will only move upward and will not borrow. The Lord will make you the head and not the tail. You will only move upward and never downward if you listen to the Lord your God's commands I am giving you today, and are careful to follow them. Do not turn aside to the right or to the left from all the things that I am commanding you today, and do not follow other gods to worship them. Curses for disobedience. Verse 15. But if you do not obey the Lord your God by carefully following all his commands and statutes I am giving you today, all these curses will come and overtake you. You will be cursed in the city and cursed in the country. Your basket and kneading bowl will be cursed. Your offspring will be cursed. Your land's produce, the young of your herds, and the newborn of your flocks. You will be cursed when you come in and cursed when you go out. The Lord will send against you curses, confusion, and rebuke in everything you do until you are destroyed and quickly perish because of the wickedness of your actions in abandoning me. The Lord will make pestilence cling to you until he has exterminated you from the land you are entering to possess. The Lord will afflict you with a wasting disease, fever, inflammation, burning heat, drought, blight, and mildew. These will pursue you until you perish. The sky above you will be bronze, and the earth beneath you iron. The Lord will turn the rain of your land into falling dust. It will descend on you from the sky until you are destroyed. The Lord will cause you to be defeated before your enemies. You will march out against them from one direction, but flee from them in 7 directions. You will be an object of horror to all the kingdoms of the earth. Your corpses will be food for all the birds of the sky and the wild animals of the earth, with no one to scare them away. The Lord will afflict you with the boils of Egypt, tumors, a festering rash, and scabies, from which you cannot be cured. The Lord will afflict you with madness, blindness, mental confusion, so that at noon you will grope as the blind person gropes in the dark. You will not be successful in anything you do. You will only be oppressed and robbed continually, and no one will help you. You will become engaged to a woman, but another man will rape her. You will build a house, but not live in it. You will plant a vineyard, but not enjoy its fruit. Your ox will be slaughtered before your eyes, but you will not eat any of it. Your donkey will be taken away from you and not returned to you. Your flock will be given to your enemies, and no one will help you. Your sons and your daughters will be given to another people, while your eyes grow weary looking for them every day. But you will be powerless to do anything. A people you don't know will eat your land's produce and everything you have labored for. You will only be oppressed and crushed continually. You will be driven mad by what you see. The Lord will afflict you with a painful and incurable boils on your knees and thighs, from the sole of your foot to the top of your head. The Lord will bring you and your king that you have appointed to a nation neither you nor your ancestors have known, and there you will worship other gods of wood and stone. You will become an object of horror, scorn, and ridicule among all the peoples where the Lord will drive you. You will sow much seed in the field, but harvest little, because locusts will devour it. You will plant and cultivate vineyards, but not drink the wine or gather the grapes, because worms will eat them. You will have olive trees throughout your territory, but not moisten your skin with oil, because your olives will drop off. You will father sons and daughters, but they will not remain yours, because they will be taken prisoner. Buzzing insects will take possession of all your trees and your land's produce. The resident alien among you will rise higher and higher above you, while you sink lower and lower. He will lend to you, but you won't lend to him. He will be the head, and you will be the tail. All these curses will come, pursue, and overtake you until you are destroyed, since you did not obey the Lord your God and keep the commandments and statutes he gave you. These curses will be a sign and a wonder against you and your descendants forever, because you didn't serve the Lord with a joy and a cheerful heart, even though you had an abundance of everything. You will serve your enemies that the Lord will send against you in famine, thirst, nakedness, and lack of everything. He will place an iron yoke on your neck until he has destroyed you. The Lord will bring a nation from far away, from the ends of the earth, to swoop down on you like an eagle. A nation whose language you won't understand, a ruthless nation, showing no respect for the old and not sparing the young. They will eat the offspring of your livestock and your land's produce until you are destroyed. They will leave you no grain, new wine, fresh oil, young of your herds, or newborn of your flocks, until they cause you to perish. They will besiege you within all your city gates until your high and fortified walls that you trust in come down throughout your land. They will besiege you within all your city gates throughout the land of the Lord that your God has given you. You will eat your offspring, the flesh of your sons and daughters, the Lord your God has given you, during the siege and hardship your enemy opposes on you. The most sensitive and refined man among you will look grudgingly at his brother, the wife he embraces, and the rest of his children during the siege, refusing to share with any of them his children's flesh, that he will eat, because he has nothing left. And during the siege and hardship your enemy opposes on you in all your towns. The most sensitive and refined woman among you, who would not venture to set the soles of her foot on the ground because of her refinement and sensitivity, will begrudge the husband she embraces, her son and her daughter, the afterbirth that comes out from between her legs, and the children she bears, because she will secretly eat them for lack of anything else during the siege and hardship your enemy imposes on you within your city gates. If you are not careful to obey all the words of this law, which are written in this scroll, by fearing this glorious and awe-inspiring name, the Lord your God, by fearing the Lord and his awe-inspiring name. Fear is a healthy condition of your relationship with the Lord. Fear him. He will bring wondrous plagues on you and your descendants, severe and lasting plagues, and terrible and chronic sicknesses. He will afflict you again with all the diseases of Egypt, which you dreaded, and they will cling to you. The Lord will also afflict you with every sickness and plague not recorded in the book of this law until you are destroyed. Though you are numerous as the stars of the sky, you will be left with only a few people, because you did not obey the Lord your God. Just as the Lord was glad to cause you to prosper and multiply you, so he will also be glad to cause you to perish and destroy you. You will be ripped out of the land you are entering to possess. The Lord will scatter you among all peoples from one end of the earth to the other, and there you will worship other gods of wood and stone, which neither you nor your ancestors have known. You will find no peace among those nations, and there will be no resting place for the sole of your foot. There the Lord will give you a trembling heart, failing eyes, and a despondent spirit. Your life will hang in doubt before you. You will be in dread night and day, never certain of survival. In the morning you will say, if it were only evening, and in the evening you will say, if it were only morning. Because of the dread you will have in your heart, and because of what you will see, the Lord will take you back in ships to Egypt by a route that I said you would never see again. There they will sell yourselves. There you will sell yourselves to your enemies, and male and female slaves, but no one will buy you. Those are some pretty harsh words. The blessings and the curses of the Lord. You know, I have been overwhelmed by the anxiety that I have thinking about these things, what the Lord is capable of. And I have been under the fear of the Lord lately, because I have come to a point where it's not just a book anymore. It is the reality of the Lord that has consumed me. I realize that he is not far off. He is as close as a whisper. He hears all things. Everything is laid bare in his sight. There is nothing that he does not know. There is a record being kept of everyone's actions, intents, motivations, everything that you go through on a daily basis is being recorded in a book, because we cannot be held accountable unless there is a record. There is a record, and we will be held accountable. So, looking into the word of the Lord and seeing the capability that he has to cause you confusion and ruin and sickness and disease, and he swallowed up armies with the sea. He has opened up the earth to swallow his people. When the Hebrew nation went to go occupy the territory of the promised land, he ordered the execution of those who are previously occupying that land due to their service to the false gods and black magic and sacrificing their children in the fire and their idols and just the way that they lived their lives. Their sentence was death. I mean, we're all sentenced to death, basically. If you look at it, the consequence of sin in its fullness is death. Everybody that has been born has died So we are all sentenced, but we can conduct ourselves in such a way, especially if we belong to the Lord, if we are blood bought. That blood came with a price, the price the Lord himself paid. You would never see a king humble himself by bowing down before his executioner and willingly let his life be taken. You would never see a king do certain things. Especially the king of all kings, who has more power and authority than anyone that has ever lived. But he did. He humbled himself, if that's even possible. He is the most humble, but he allowed himself to be taken when he had the power to never be taken. He allowed himself to become the sacrifice for all sins. He could have said, "No, I am God, the most mighty." But he said yes, because he loved you and he loved me. Even though we didn't know him, he loved us even when we were enemies of the Lord. He made a way for us to be sons of the Lord and daughters of the Lord. And now that we have been adopted into the promises of salvation and the promise, right? The promise. We have to really consider our position in relationship to the Lord. So one thing I know is this relationship is based on his terms. He lays out his commandment and says, if you do these things, you will be blessed. There will be no reason for consequence. And you will be blessed out when you go out. You'll be blessed when you come in. All the work that you do will be blessed. You will lend to those and not borrow. You will have the blessing. But when you abandon me and follow false gods and worship these things that are nothing, then when we look in the past, like Deuteronomy chapter 28, we can see the resolve that the Lord has for those who abandon him to serve other things. So we need to position ourselves by humbling ourselves before the Lord, because he is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And we can see his point of view when we read these old passages like this. Maybe something is messed up in your life and you feel like you can't get anywhere no matter how hard you try. It just seems like you're always going backwards. You're sliding down a slope and there is no stopping you. Have you considered humbling yourself before the Lord? Have you considered removing all of your idols from your life? Pornography, drugs, sexual addiction, sexual perversion, lust, what is it when you sleep with another man's wife? Adultery, stealing, a proud heart. And man, sometimes I have pride just well up in me for no reason. I'm nothing. I, everything can be taken away from me in a moment. I don't hold all of this together. And somebody who's more powerful than I am, that has a record of what I do, and has already given me the rules of engagement. He has said, these are my rules. If you abide by these rules, then your relationship with me will be strengthened. You will live a good life. You will be healthy. Your children will be healthy. You will find success and goodness. And I have those things, but I believe that they're conditionary based on the type of relationship that I have with the Lord. And the scary thing is when he sends things like confusion, right? Because your mind gets confused and you can't tell what is what. And how do you come out of a sickness of your mind, right? Like there are those who have traded their relationship with God for other things, for a lie, basically. And the thing about that is they come to believe that this is a truth. And if you're calling a lie truth, then you're deceived, but you don't see that because you're confused. You have a confusion. And you honestly believe that that's not a lie. That is the truth. And everything in your whole soul and mind agree to this, but really you can't see that you're deceived. You can't tell that you're confused. You believe this to be a truth, but when you're an outsider looking in, you can see the confusion. If I went up to somebody else and they told me their belief structure, I may not be able to convince them otherwise because it's so true to them. And you're looking at it and you're like, dude, that's a lie. How can you believe this? And no matter what you say, they're convinced of this delusion that they're in. How do you escape from that? It's a sickness of the mind. And because you believe it's true, there's nothing that you're going to do to fix the situation because you, in your own mind, are in the right place. That's a sickness that I'm terrified of. I'm terrified of that. I'm terrified of the Lord. The things that he is capable of, if you look in the consequences of being disobedient to the Lord, he is capable of terrible things. I mean, confusion and boils and insects and blight and drought, and he could make the heavens iron, and he could make it rain dust, and swarms of insects will consume your crops. And how do you fight against these things? He has consequences that we cannot fight against. Generally when someone says, when it's a person-to-person interaction and they're like, well, because you've done this, then I'm going to do this to you. And it doesn't really bother you because all you have to do is get out of that person's sight, right? Or out from underneath their control. It's a big world. You can just go somewhere else, right? And then that consequence doesn't follow you because you've left the proximity of that person's influence over your life. But no matter where you are, the Lord is there. I said, if I went up into heaven, if I went down to Sheol, oh Lord, you are there. If I sprouted wings like eagles and went out to the deepest parts of the sea, oh Lord, you're there. There is nowhere that I can go from you. So there's nowhere that I can escape the consequence of the Lord. It will follow me forever until He decides to relent. And those are things that I'm terrified of. Well, the best thing that we can do is begin our study of what the Lord has already said, because He has already said so much. So much has happened. And when you look in the Bible, you can see how He interacted with people, and then how these people responded, and then the good or the bad things that followed based on those people's response. So we can learn the lesson without having to go through the consequence. If we invest ourselves into studying the Word, it's already there. If you don't know why something is happening, right? Okay, now check this out. Say something's happening to you because a spiritual principle has been put into place and you cross that line. And now there's a consequence in your life, but you don't know why there's a consequence because you don't know what line that you've crossed, right? But it's there. It's there for us already. He's given us His Word. So by studying, you can see, wow, I didn't even know that was something that He cared about. But I do that every day. Then there might be a curse on your life. There might be a consequence based on, and it could be small or it could be great. But when we adjust ourselves, right, and then take that sinful, you take that idol, you take whatever behavior, and you throw that out of your life, and you adopt God's Word in its place, and then you see relief. So what we want to do is read the Word of God. And that's why we're reading the Word of God on this channel. We got to get in us. First, we review the Word. Then we can see what the Lord has already said. And then we can come into agreement with the conditions of our relationship. And then we can have a successful relationship with the Lord. All right, you guys, I'm having trouble finding a place to end this, but I guess I'll end it right here. We're going to do some more studying. If you made it to the end of the video, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button.